Howdy-ho! Right now we're going to go over something that's called logical operators, and these are including and, or, and not. Now, I primarily don't use not for most of my VBA coding, but I usually would change whatever the condition is to be whatever the opposite is. So if it's greater than, then I would just change it to be less than or equal to, if that's one of the value conditions that I'm doing. But and or are very important to be aware of and be familiar with the truth table of them as well. So kind of just going through this, there are different operators that can add different conditions to a list, and they can negate conditions. And is used to make sure that all returns are met, return a true Boolean value. Or is used to say that at least one, and you only need one, return a true Boolean value. So not is actually used to switch things from true to false or false to true. And then the following operator table here, this actually shows a list of using different true or false for our values for condition 1 and condition 2, and using different operators and an or, and how they actually come about for the final value. So to actually read this, so let's say condition 1 is true, condition 2 is also true. If there's the AND operator, this is the only case where they would actually have a final value of true. But if you negate this whole thing, so this actually flips the script and goes to false. Now, if you use true and false with the AND, because they're not both true, it's actually going to return a final value of false for that condition. And if you go to OR, for example, though, and you say true here for one of them and false for one of them, it actually still returns a true value. The only thing for OR that returns a false value is if all the conditions involved are false. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go over a quick example just to show you this in action. I'm going to dim condition 1 as a Boolean, and I'm going to do condition 2 as a Boolean as well. Let's just say if condition 1 is true, so equals true, and condition 2 equals true, then we're going to say message box true, whatever. Alright, so going here, if we actually step through, we can see that they both start with false, so this isn't activated. But if we actually make them equal to true, going through, this is the only thing that actually works when you use the AND operator. But if you actually change this to false here and run this, nothing actually happens. But if we change this to OR, step through, we could say here, this is true, matches up, so this part here is actually true. This is false, this is true, so this part actually matches up as false, but the entire thing ends up being true and is actually still run. So that's just a quick example of how you can use different conditions within one if statement. Very important thing to understand that you can just tack on and or, and you can even put in like more conditions here, and it will still work out just as fine.